So, got this thing through the post today from British Gas. I've not long lived in my property, maybe about 6 weeks. British Gas are obviously writing to me and saying, would you like to contract with us for the energy that is provided to you for free by the National Grid because they have a contract with the government to supply heat and electricity, and the same with water to your house, which comes out of your wages that you pay for. It comes out of your national insurance and comes out of your tax in a slave system built on money that doesn't even exist and backed by nothing. So if I've lost you with something I'm saying there, then this is probably why you end up paying this and you don't have a clue what I'm talking about. So British Gas have written to me, they've got my name, and normally they write to Dear Occupier or Dear Homeowner, would you like to contract with us? Well, no, of course I wouldn't. Not when this is based on nothing more than a complete and utter scam, because the National Grid supply our electricity and gas to us. Water, everything comes from the earth. They take electricity from the ether. And obviously this is where you're called a conspiracy theorist and an absolute nut job, but it's the actual truth. And if you dared even look at the stuff, you'd actually know what I'm saying is completely accurate. So my name and address and what my name has come from probably my landlord, who obviously doesn't understand GDPR, who thinks that because he's left British Gas, this house, the landlord lived in this house and now rented it out to me as his first renter. He thinks he can tell British Gas my personal information, which he's not allowed to do. So that's how they have my name, because normally it says Dear Owner, Dear Occupier. But my landlord doesn't understand what being a landlord is by the laws that surround him, or not the laws, but the legislation. He doesn't understand his role as a landlord. You cannot just give out my details. He left his contract with British Gas and he's turned around and gone, this is the details of the person who's now taken out a contract. And British Gas have accepted his word for it. And now writing to me to say, you owe us money. In fact, let's open it. So obviously I've scored out my name, my address, because I don't need anyone seeing that. But here's your energy statement. I don't remember contracting with you, British Gas. I don't recall this where I contracted with you. I don't recall at any point where I now owe you £47. You've written to me a couple of times and said this is your contract. Well, what do you mean this is your contract? You can't just say this is your contract. Can I write to you and say this is your contract? You owe me £1,000 a month just because I say so? Because that's what you've done here. But obviously most people will defend that because they don't understand the scam of gas, the scam of electricity, the scam of water, how the few and the elite control every single resource in this world. They print money into a system which then controls us through that. And they then say, if you want some of it, you've got to pay. But you've got to pay out of money, which is backed by nothing, that you go and work 8 hours a day for, created into paper, and now you can give it back to them to keep them in control of you. You literally pay to be slaves. You actually work. The bottom dollar of it is you get up in the morning and you go to work as a slave and you come home to your house and you think you're free. That's the entirety of it. We are slaves. Money's not even backed by anything. It's written on the note. It says on it, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of, I've even got one here. Soon cash will be taken away, obviously because of a virus. I promise to pay, up here, I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £10. I promise to pay. So technically, what this means, and you're going to look at me like I'm nuts, but this is what it means. I should be able to go into a bank and go, put it on the counter in the bank and say, I'd like £10, please. Because it's what it is. I promise to pay. So it says. It says on it. You can't even ignore it. You can't say I'm wrong. I promise to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £10. It's a promissory note. I promise to pay you. That's what the government did. They went, all the precious metals and all the coins and everything, all the gold, that's all ours. And we'll give you this bit of paper and we promise to pay you. Then people would go in to the government, and which then came the banks, and say, okay, then they'd start trading gold round. But then the paper came in to take place of that gold because the gold became heavy. Then realised they could print paper. The gold was then never needed anymore. It was taken out of circulation by one of the American presidents in the 1950s, I believe. And now all we do is pass around bits of paper saying, I owe you, I owe you, I owe you, I owe you, I owe you. And no one actually cashes it in and goes to the bank, well, okay, I'm owed this £10. Can I have it, please? And no one even has a clue what I'm talking about because they're so conditioned and brainwashed by what they believe this is. So when we understand the illusion of money, that kind of gives a different perspective to this. You want paper out of me, which is my money, which is my time I go to work for, when all the government do is print it through the Federal Reserve, which are a printing company. Well, if they want my money, then go and print some more because you've been doing it. That's what inflation is by the very definition of it. But they don't want your money. They want you enslaved in a system. You've got to go and earn some of this so you can pay this. But deep down, we all know that it's paid for by the government through the national grid because they understand the complete slave system that they put us in. But we wake up every morning, go and earn some bits of paper which are backed by absolutely nothing, and then but we think it's what controls our life, which it is. We then give it to the energy company freely by contracting with them. And then if we don't, they employ bullies like enforcement agents who are taught nonsense and lies, backed up by a corrupt court system, backed up by a corrupt police system, backed up by a government which is actually a company. And if you haven't followed every single word of what I've just said, then you're brainwashed. I can't say it any other way. I moved into a house and they've literally forced a contract on me. You owe us 47 quid. For what? And you can say, oh, it's for gas, it's for electric. Yeah, I need to agree to this contract. But why would I agree to a contract with you, British Gas, when I already have a contract with the government which already controls and enslaves me, and that gives me my contract with the national grid, which is free. So why would I want to pay extra for it? Because you were conditioned to, which is why they write to you saying, dear owner, or dear occupier, because they don't know who you are, because all they're doing is putting junk mail through your door and asking you, do you want us to supply it to your house? You don't supply it to your house. You're just a billing company. They've literally written to you, a random company that's been built into our slave system life. They write to you and say, would you like to pay us money for the stuff that you already get for free from the government? No, I fucking wouldn't. But no one has a clue what I'm talking about. 47 quid. Fuck off. Fuck off. Seriously. And I'm tired of people as well writing to them. Oh, please, we've got this right and we've got this act and we don't have to pay this. What you're doing? All you're doing is asking for leniency from your oppressors. These are just random companies that have been given power to do this through a slave system of money. The government let them get away with it because it allows their control to continue. And you're writing to them to turn around and say, oh, please, can we pay you less? Or please, or even wanting to pay them. People are going to actually freeze to death this winter because they don't understand what's happening. And that's just the brutal truth of it. Fuck you.